Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining my OXP talk about upgrading a highly customized Odoo environment. Um, if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free using the QR code to ask your questions, and I would love to answer your questions after my presentation. Before we go into the details, I first would like to introduce myself. My name is Jonas Steunkens, and I work as a project manager for Dynapps in Belgium. I work there for nearly 2 years now, and I am leading various Odoo implementation projects, going from Odoo implementations to Odoo upgrades as well. Besides that, I also have the privilege to be the team lead of a multidisciplinary team that consists of both business consultants and also Odoo developers. The story, first of all, Dynapps, who is Dynapps? I think that the figures on the slides speak for themselves, but we are the #1 Odoo implementation partner in the world with more than 15 years of experience. We are ISO certified, and we did hundreds of successful implementations and upgrades. Of course, I'm not the only one delivering this excellent service. I do this together with more than 200 colleagues, and we are situated in 4 different countries at the moment. So um, we are situated in Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and Switzerland, and we still have plans and the ambitions to expand that to other countries as well. The story I would like to share with you today is about Ohme. Ohme is a fast-growing United Kingdom-based company that operates in Europe and in Australia as well. Probably you have known of you have heard of Ohme already, but they deliver charging solutions integrated with all well-known energy companies and also well-known car companies. The ambition or the mission of Ohme is to make charging cheaper, greener, and connected. So that's a very nice mission statement, I think. The challenges that Ohme had was that they were running on an Odoo version 14 environment with extensive integrations to other software that they developed by their own, but also third-party software, and also made some own custom modules. So Ohme had their own development team that elaborated actually their Odoo version 14 environment. So they had their own developers that elaborated the version 14 environment. So it was at first it was also the intention of Ohme to do the upgrade to version 17 by themselves. They have an experienced team in developing, but they had some issues by doing the migration, and that's why they turned to Dynapps to overcome that challenge, in fact. How did we do that? So when we do a new implementation of Odoo, or when we do a new migration, we always start with an analysis. And to explain the necessity of doing an analysis at the start of a project, the easiest way to explain that is by comparing it with the construction of a house. When you want to build a new house, you don't just go to the store, buy some brick and construction materials, and start building. But you always start with also an analysis, or you start by drawing the plan before you start building the house. If you don't do that, you don't know where you will end. The only thing you will know for sure is that you will end in a place you don't want to be. And that's also exactly the same thing when you are do a renovation project. When you are renovating your house, you also have to do first the analysis before you start, or before you kick off the project. And that's exactly what we also did for Ohme. So first of all, we did the analysis. So that means we did, in fact, an inventarization of their current environment. So we took a look, which modules are they using at this moment? Did they use studio fields, mail templates, automated actions, all that kind of things? We made an inventory of all that kind of things. Besides that, we normally also do a review of the current business processes. Why is that important? That's just to see when you go from version 14 in this case to version 17, we want to see when you switch from Odoo version, that new functionalities maybe can tackle custom development from the past, and that's why we also do that. After the analysis, we have some deliverables we offer to the customers. First of all, it's a report with the inventarization of their current environment. And we can say, okay, that kind of modules or custom modules you will still need in the new version, or thanks to new functionalities in the newer version, you can skip some custom development. Next to that, we also deliver a plan of approach to do the migration. So how we what will be the different steps to do the upgrades, and of course a detailed budget to know how much will it cost to execute the project. An additional challenge we had at the Ohme project was that compared to most of our other customers we do the upgrade for, that we did not implement Ohme by ourselves. So in fact 90 or 95% of the environment of Ohme was developed by their own, so we had only limited functional knowledge of their environment, so that was also a bit of a challenge. The main conclusions after the analysis were that yeah, because of the fact that we did not develop the custom developments by our own, that the high quality standards Dynapps puts for its own development were not there or were not present for the custom code of Ohme. Second conclusion is that they had an extensive use of studio fields. I think it were about it were hundreds of studio fields they used. They also created an whole studio module by their own, on which they also built an integration. So that's quite challenging. And they also had an extensive use of automated actions and mail templates. I think that there are about 500 mail templates in 4 different languages. So that's very hard to migrate to another version. So we knew when we had to upgrade the environment of Ohme version 14 to 17, it would be a challenge. So we stepped to our customer with this message, and we held a discussion and in open communication to discuss the challenges we noticed. Before we kicked the project, with the kickoff for the project or for the upgrade, we made clear agreements with the customer to see who will do which part of the project. We made an agreement that Dynapps would take care of the custom code migration, the database upgrades, and the first preliminary testing. And normally we do a more detailed testing, but because we had only the limited knowledge, we said we will do the preliminary testing and Ohme will do the deep dive testing. Besides that, we also made the agreement that Ohme would search for an alternative solution for managing the email templates, and also would take care of the studio migration into custom code. After that, we made an agreement on a timeline and a budget, and the project could take off. After 6 or 7 months, so the project had a lead time of 6 or 7 months, we could do a successful upgrade from version 14 to 17 for Ohme. It actually all started with a severe base of clear mutual expectations. Ohme did exactly know what they could expect from us, and we knew exactly what we could expect from Ohme. And that was actually a very important factor in the project success. After 6 or 7 months, we did the go live of the project. Go live is also a bit waiting if everything will be smooth or not. But I can say that the project go live was actually very smooth, and no big issues at that day itself. Also, an important thing to know is that the budget we discussed or we agreed up on the start of the project, we ended up considerably under budget, which is also very nice to deliver a project at that way. A surplus we offered to Ohme at the end of the project is that we offered them some recommendations or advice how they could improve their own custom code. One of the main things was that the test coverage of their custom code that was not there for Ohme, and we offered them some advice how they could improve that. Also some lessons learned for future upgrades, of course. Now they are on version 17. I expect they will migrate to version 19 or 20 in the coming months or year. But it's also, of course, the intention that the upgrade from version 14 to 17 was difficult, but of course we want to take with us the lessons learned from this project to another project or to the next upgrade as well. Yeah, we are now at the end of the presentation. The things I hope you will remember after this presentation is that project success, no matter if it's an implementation or an upgrade, actually always start with an analysis. That's actually the starting point, and there you lay the foundation of your project and how it will go. Don't postpone your upgrade. The smaller the gap between the different versions, the less complex or the easier it will become to do the upgrades. In the case of Ohme, it was three versions. In my opinion, 3 versions is more or less the maximum you should keep. So don't make it 5 or 6 versions, because it will only become more and more complex to do the upgrade. And as we have seen at Ohme, even heavily customized environments can be upgraded with also on a relative smooth way. So it doesn't mean that you have built a lot of customizations in your environment. Don't let that be a blocker to avoid upgrading. Also, heavily customized setups can be upgraded, and as Odoo evolves in every version, custom developments can also be avoided when you upgrade. So I hope this was more or less clear for you. If you have any questions for me, I would love to answer them, of course.
Thank you, Jonas, from Dynapps, for this great success case. I propose to jump directly on the questions. How long did the analysis and upgrade take in total?
Yeah. So the analysis was at a very short lead time. It was only, I think, that was 3 or 4 weeks. That's what we always try to do the analysis as short as possible, because it are a couple of workshops we organize, and then after that we can start the project as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. The upgrade itself was 6 months actually to do the entire upgrade. I think that's a good. It's a good lead time. It can be too long because then you have also the problems of that it takes too long, and too short is also not good, because you have to do good testing in the projects as well. So 6 months is actually a very good time
All
range.
Right. And talking about those customizations, someone is asking, did you leave a lot of the studio customization, or did you replace them by code?
In fact, we replaced all the studio, all the usage of studio. We all replaced them by code because they had a lot of studio fields. But
all of them.
But yes, okay. Exactly. But I think that 75% of the studio fields were not were actually redundant, so they did not use them anymore. So Ohme did also made an analysis based upon our advice. They made an analysis which studio fields are still will still need to be there in the next version, and those were all put into code. They also made an entire module on Studio, and that's really a risk in an upgrade process, and that's why on our advice we all put it into code as well. So at this moment they don't use Studio anymore, but it's all safe in code now.
All right. Before the upgrade, was the integration, because you were mentioning the integration needs to remain stable after the migration,
yep.
But was the integration functioning properly while connected with the model and objects created with Studio?
Before the migration that worked perfectly, but we know also from experience that after migration that also is a risk, always is a risk during migration. So we strongly recommend not to take that with you in the upgrade process, but first put it into code and then do the upgrade. And that actually that made actually that the upgrade was quite smooth because of that approach effect. Yeah.
So you didn't just fix but also anticipated.
Yes, exactly.
What does the decision of you taking care of the code and them taking care of studio customs come from? And how did you handle studio as well at some point?
Yeah, so the reason why that we took care of the code was actually because that's the point where it was stuck when they tried it by themselves, so they had some problems. So we said, okay, we will do the migration of the code, because that's also our expertise, in fact. And then for the studio migration, because we said, yeah, we can also do it for you, but then we have two problems. First of all, we don't know which studio fields are still in use for you, so they had to do the analysis by themselves. And secondly, it was based on actually it was a budget decision, and we could do also the migration, but because they had the developers in house, it was budget-wise, better to do it by them. That's actually the reason.
And we saw during the presentation that there were many challenges during this project, but someone is wondering what was the biggest challenge?
Yeah. They're always.
Sorry, more precisely, what was the most challenging moment of the project?
I think the most challenging moment of the project was when we went to the user acceptance testing phase, in fact, because we did some preliminary testing. They also, or Ohme did already some high-level testing, but during the user acceptance testing, they also started to start all their integrations. So that was an important point, and at that moment, some of their key users went ill. So that was in fact a turning point to also postpone the go-live with 1 month. It was a difficult decision because internally at Ohme they had some a strict deadline to deliver the project, and that was a difficult moment to decide. But we discussed it together, and we decided it should be better to postpone it. In fact,
1 month.
1 month, so that's still
reasonable.
Yes, in fact.
All right. Someone is asking how the customer went with the email templates.
Yeah, they already.
How he managed it, I'm assuming.
I don't know by heart what was the name of the application they used, but they also had an own marketing tool or software they were using, and they actually extended the tool with also the email templates.
It was pushed to do, and not the opposite.
Exactly.
All right. So it's going to depend on the tool they were using.
Yeah.
Were any specific measures taken to ensure the smooth go live on the actual day? So it get postponed of 1 month.
Yeah.
But maybe a recap of all the measures that helped for this smooth go live.
Well, before we go live, we always do in upgrades projects. We always do a dry run a couple of days before the day of go live, and a dry run. Then we go through all the different steps that need to be taken to deliver the go live. That was done. It was the question of the customer to do the go live on a Saturday. So we had our technical team available for them to support them whenever they needed it, and there was also someone from Odoo itself available that day, because they were hosted or still hosted on Odoo SH, and some people from Odoo have the best knowledge of that, of course. So there was also someone available from Odoo. Afterwards, it's not to be necessary, but of course you are happy there is someone there in case it is necessary.
Sure, yeah.
And actually, because all those things were there, that the go live was quite smooth, in fact. Yeah.
Okay. I see 2 last questions. I'm not sure we'll have the time to answer to all of them, but I will go with this one. And for the rest, you're of course free to meet Jonas outside. Also, Odoo needs to be ready for a big company based on our failed upgrade from 12 to 14. And our database more than 70 gigabytes without file store.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand exactly, but the second question, what's your advice on that? Knowing that we're a logistic company in Saudi Arabia and we're moving from Oracle to Odoo.
Okay, that's a difficult question.
Yes, maybe we can meet outside because this is very very specific, and so let's jump into the last question because we have time. I like the studio to code approach. before the migration.
Yeah.
But this faces a clear problem. A customer with that many studio customs usually likes to use Studio.
Yeah.
How do you handle this in the right way, making customer happy?
Yeah. Normally, customers making extensive use of Studio are always a bit, they're not happy when you're telling you should put it all into code. But when you are saying or explaining why it's so important to put into code and that it can cause a lot of problems during the migration, and especially when you're having custom development and it's more stable and you have a better your Odoo environment is working faster and better, then
More
they
stable.
mostly understand. And then they understand and they also stop using Studio as well. So it's with the comparing the negative and the positive parts, and then concluding that it's better to do it like that. Yeah.
Yes. Because at the end it's always best if we try to reduce all this complexity to really what's needed.
Yes, exact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jonas, very much.
No problem.
And thank you everyone for being here, and see you outside.
Yeah, thank you very